Alright guys, welcome to my video of predicting the worst NFL team, the Detroit Lions. We got a star for depth chart, for breakout players, and then head coach. So this season they just hired a new head coach, Dan Campbell, and here's their roster. For wide receiver and free agency, they just signed Tyrell Williams, wide receiver, which is probably going to be their first option at wideout. He has had pretty productive career. Stays under the radar, but usually gets about 600 yards a season and around 4 touchdowns. Here we got Rashad Breeland. Rashad Perriman. Excuse me, plays for the Vikings. He's a cornerback. We have Rashad Perriman, wide receiver. He played for the New York Jets last year. He had 500 yards and 2 touchdowns. He is coming off of a little bit of a rough year with New York Jets quarterback Sam Darnold, which did not play. He was playing with a lot of terrible quarterbacks, and his dad also played wide receiver for the Lions, so a little bit of a familiar place for him. At QB that got traded to the Lions in that sort of blockbuster deal, we got Jared Goff. He can be inconsistent at times, but this season, he doesn't really have much wide receivers to throw to. So this season, even if he is inconsistent, this isn't like Detroit's going to be really good this season. They are probably going to be a bottom last team in a rebuilding stage. So, Jared Goff doesn't really have to be good this season. He doesn't have to throw massive touchdowns and all of that when this team isn't still going through a rebuilding phase. For our breakout star on the depth chart, we got the best quarterback, DeAndre Swift. Let's get that T in there. We have DeAndre Swift, the second-year running back. He played for Detroit last season. He had a pretty productive year, around 600 yards, and he was averaging around 3.5 yards a carry. And he had, I think, either around 2 touchdowns. So he played for the Detroit Lions last year, and they drafted him in the 2019 draft, I think it was. No, they drafted him in the 2020 draft. He was supposed to be a high-end running back, and he's just playing for a bad offensive line, which made his production go down a little bit. Over here we got the player that they've signed, left defensive lineman Trey Flowers. Trey Flowers is a really good defensive lineman. He produces sacks for you. He gets after the quarterback. He's everything you pretty much want out of a defensive lineman. He can do a little bit of everything. He can stop the run. He's had a lot of pressures in his career, and he's just an overall great defensive lineman. Safety, C.J. Moore. Also another player that's recently been signed. C.J. Moore, he has played a pretty productive career at safety. He's done a lot of different things. He's made plays. He's got some good hit highlights. He can follow the quarterback's eyes. He has a good tackle. He can tackle pretty good against teams. and he is just a good safety. And then Penny Sewell. They have just drafted this year's draft. He is a offensive lineman. Sorry, I didn't get that in there. He is a lineman. He is an offensive lineman they drafted this year. He's going to be their starting lineman, obviously, because they don't have offensive linemen, so he's obviously going to be starting. I put him on the star depth chart just because since he's starting, and since he's starting this year, and he's going to get lots of snaps, he's obviously going to be productive. I mean, when you're starting, you're at least going to do something for the team. And it's his first season. There's going to be a lot of mistakes with him. But overall, I think this player could be a top offensive lineman. Not very top, just top offensive lineman. Alright, and then the new place kicker they just signed, There's not a lot of stars on this Detroit 2021 roster. So I had to find some other players that were from special teams to put on here. And I found the name Randy Bullock, and I know for a fact Randy Bullock is one of the best kickers in the NFL. He's done a good job of place kicking and putting teams in front of the end zone, and has kept the ball away from teams that could for punters. They might have a problem kicking really long ways. For Bullock in his career, he usually pins him in the 20, so he's just a good place kicker. And then Armand St. Brown. So Armand St. Brown, he's supposed to be the third wide receiver, but obviously the team has him on the roster as a punt returner and a kick returner. Since Armand St. Brown could play probably 3 positions, I didn't put that down, because obviously they don't have him down as a wide receiver on the roster. So I'm just going to expect that he will just be a punt returner and a kick returner. And for Armand St. Brown, he was just drafted this year. And he is probably going to be a really good kick returner at that position. I think he's going to be a pretty productive kick returner for the Detroit Lions. Now moving on to their schedule. So the schedule is probably the worst schedule you could have for a rebuilding team. Now I got all of the home and away games listed. So for the 49ers, they're going to get a loss at home, opening up the season. And then the Packers are going to be a loss away. 2 very tough teams now having to go to the Ravens, loss. Bears, loss away. Vikings, loss away. Bengals, a loss at home. Rams, obviously a big loss away. I think the Rams are just going to be really good this year, and I don't think any team can really challenge them other than a really good borderline playoff team. Alright, Eagles is there going to be a win, and that game is going to be a win away, and then that moves them into a bye for Week 10. So, starting Week 10 off after the bye, I'm going to predict them to lose to the Steelers. And that game is away, and they're going to lose to the Browns. The Browns, that game is away also. And then the Bears is going to be a win at home. The Vikings is going to be a loss at home. The Vikings, I think, will sweep them twice, and they'll split with the Bears. Now, you're probably being like, wow, the Bears, well, I mean, football's weird. Alright, and let's get that weird game out of the way. I think the Bears and Detroit are pretty even. Even if, what is his name, plays. Even if their new quarterback they just drafted out of Ohio State, forgot his name. Oh, Justin Fields, the selection that the Vikings were going to take, but passed up on him. Even if he does play, the Bears are basically the Detroit Lions. Their defense has now been basically gone. They don't have much defensive players. They've signed elsewhere in free agency, and they don't have wide receivers that can catch. just like Detroit. So I'm just going to be like, well, the Bears and the Detroit's evenly matched, so I'll just give Detroit a win versus the Bears because they're obviously going to win a weird game, and I'll just pick that one. So the Vikings will be a loss at home, and then the Vikings will sweep them, of course. The Broncos will be a win away because I think the Broncos are basically just as bad as Detroit. I mean, they got a great defense, but their offense is bad. And I think they're going to struggle to put up points. And I think Detroit will put up a little bit more points and then get the victory. Now, Cardinals is going to be a loss at home. Cardinals stacked. You got Nuke. You got Kyle Murray. He's going to be able to scramble all day. Their defense will probably never be able to hold down top teams. So they're going to get a loss. And then the Falcons is going to be a win away. Falcons, they just traded Julio Jones. So now their top receivers are Calvin Ridley. Their only top receiver is Calvin Ridley. And they still just drafted Kyle Pitts at tight end. So they will beat the struggling, I think, Falcons. And then moving on to Week 17 versus the Seahawks. This is going to be an away loss. And then the Green Bay Packers loss. Packers, this is going to be a home game versus the Packers. And then the record projection or prediction I did, they're going to be 3-18 is my record prediction. This is going to be a season where the Detroit Lions are just going to be a rebuilding team. Their new coach might be able to put some culture together. But even if this is a rebuilding season, Detroit can only go up from here. So this is probably going to be the worst team. I mean, last year it was the Bengals, but I think the Bengals had a little bit of a better team. But Detroit Lions, you're going to be rebuilding, and I think you guys will have a shot in the upcoming future of getting to the playoffs at least. Make sure to like and subscribe. We'll see you in the next video. Peace.